Hello everyone and welcome to what appears to be the greatest performance ever in a Speed Chess Championship final, last one being the 2021 final between Hikaru Nakamura and Wesley So, where Hikaru crushed Wesley with a score of 23-7. This one ended even greater, and I'm going to show you a game from the 3+1 section. Magnus with white versus Alireza with black. I've already shown you two games. This is, well... I mean, there were so many great games, but this one has a really awesome ending to it, so I decided to go with this one. So let's check it out, and then we're going to discuss what happened and so on and so on. So Magnus with white opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to c5. Alireza goes for the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, pawn to d6, and bishop to c4, countering the Sicilian with an Italian. We have knight to f6 and pawn to d3, pawn to e6, and Magnus castles kingside. Knight to c6, we have rook to e1 and bishop to e7. We have bishop back to b3, castles, and pawn to c3. Now, if you want, you can even put the bishop on c2 to grab hold of this diagonal. Pawn to a6, and Magnus strikes with pawn to d4. And there are a couple of moves that reached that have been played in this position, like c captures on d4, pawn to e5 has been played, pawn to b5 has been played, but the move Alireza plays has never been played. It is pawn to d5, and it is now as of move 9 that we have a completely new game. As you can see, Alireza not wasting any time. He's still above the 3-minute mark. We have pawn to e5 by Magnus, knight to e4, and knight b to d2. Alireza trades off a pair of knights, knight captures, with bishop captures, c captures, and bishop to d7. Just nicely continuing development with bishop to c2 and rook to c8, putting pressure on that bishop. We have pawn to g3 and knight to a5, trying to grab hold of that c4 square. We have pawn to h4 by Magnus and knight to c4, going after the dark square bishop. Bishop back to c1, nicely controlling the knight, and queen to b6, putting pressure on b2. And if you went b3, that wouldn't be so impressive, because after the knight lands, attacks the bishop. If you want to keep the bishop here, you have to play bishop to d3, but then black easily just trades the bishops, and that's not really good for white. So Magnus goes rook to b1, which is much stronger, and now we have pawn to h6 by Alireza. The way to play this, it is a very ugly position, and white will always be better due to the strong bishop pair, but f6 or f5, like something like f5, captures, and maybe it's possible to play this. But Alireza, after rook to b1, played pawn to h6. It looks like a move that prevents any sort of an incoming attack, but it does just the opposite. We often say that if you defend against the ghosts, you create possibilities that weren't really there. You defend against the threats that did not exist prior to you playing pawn to h6. So okay, queen to d3. Magnus now threatens mate in 1, and now okay, you have to play f5, but you've already weakened your king side. So pawn to f5, e captures, bishop captures, and Magnus goes for queen to h7 with check. King f7, and the bishop captures on h6. So only now, when Alireza blundered a little bit, he goes below the 3-minute mark. Up until this point, he was pretty much pre-moving everything. We have bishop captures on d4, going after the f2 pawn, and Magnus just plays king to g2. Sort of the best way to play this would be bishop to g5, because this is not really a threat. If you play bishop captures king to g2, you're not really doing anything here. If you capture the rook, bishop g6 is checkmate. So that's why Magnus started with king to g2. Alireza went back, bishop to f6. Of course, the f2 pawn cannot be captured, and now pawn to b3. Simple yet deadly. Knight to a3 attacks the bishop and the rook. We have bishop to g6 check, king to e7, and now Magnus just captures on g7. We have bishop captures, queen captures with check, king to d6, and now queen to e5 check, inviting Alireza to go for a walk, but Alireza just goes back. If you go to c6, it's actually a very quick checkmate. Rook e to c1 check, king to b5, queen to e2 with check, king to a5, of course pawn to b4 check, king to a4, queen to d1 check, king to b5, and now knight to d4 will be checkmate. So that's what it's all about. So king to e7 by Alireza, and now queen g7 with check, king to d6, and the rook b to d1. Getting the rook off of that b1 square where it was attacked by the knight, and just putting so much pressure up against the black king, there's really nothing you can even try here. Alireza tries knight to c2. You could try to escape with the king, but I mean just rook to c1, and if you go king to b8, rook captures on c8 whatever you play is insufficient, that the bishop is hanging, and if you capture with the bishop, then the rook is hanging. I mean, everything is just hanging. So Alireza tries rook to c2 and rook e2. We have knight to b4, and now queen to e5 with check. King again goes to e7, and now pawn to a3. Kicks away the defender of the d5 pawn, knight to c6, and now the pawn is free for captures. Queen captures on d5 as the e6 pawn is pinned. Rook c to d8, and now queen back to g5 with check. We have rook to f6 and bishop to e4. So not a lot for Alireza to do here, and Magnus is basically saying, I'm just gonna push my past h-pawn to victory. That's all I'm gonna do here. We have rook to f8, pawn to b4. It's not just showing off, it's actually the top move recommended by the engine. Of course, Magnus knows that. Bishop to e8 and pawn to h5, advancing the passed pawn to victory. Knight to d8, and now knight to e5. And here Alireza plays the worst possible move that you can make in this position. He plays knight to f7, and of course you guys don't need to even pause the video to solve this one, but just in case, feel free to pause the video and win the game for Magnus while I give you a couple of seconds. Of course, you all saw the move. The move is knight to g6. It is mate in 1 as the rook is pinned. This is what Magnus played, and another victory for Magnus Carlsen was happened. And yeah, it's a very nice game that I have chosen to show. I could have chosen like really any of them. Alireza had some very nice wins, but in the end, Magnus won by 23.5 to 7.5, which is better than what Nakamura did to Wesley So, 23-8 by a half-point margin. I mean, an incredible run. And again, the same. I don't know. It's hard to say because when Magnus was playing against Hans, Magnus was completely dominating the 5+1 section, and then in the 3+1 and 1+1 they were equal, and Alireza completely dominated Hikaru. It was a very dominating performance, so it was hard to say how Alireza would do against Magnus because he's so strong, he's so in form. He won everything. He won St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, he won the Sinquefield Cup, he's the World Bullet champion. I mean, he won everything, but I guess there's just the difference when you face Magnus Carlsen in a match. Regardless of the time format, in a match against Magnus, you will always suffer. And well, at this point, it seems that like Kasparov once said, that he can fight every opponent except time. And it seems that as long as Magnus is interested, as long as Magnus wants to play, only time will be his actual opponent. But okay, Alireza is still young, Hans is still young, everyone, Noderbek, Arjun, Gukesh, Vincent, those are all very young, very strong players. So we'll see who will be the hungriest, but it's 2024 and Magnus is not slowing down. He's playing great chess. He's playing creative chess. He loves playing. He just if you've watched the live show, just him walking up to the stage, you can see that he's psyched. He's very happy to be there, and he wants to play chess. And of course, he hopes he plays good chess. And he played incredible chess today. So yeah, Magnus is the 2024 Speed Chess Championship champion. We'll see what happens next year, but for now, Magnus is definitely the strongest. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any games that you would really like to see, I can show you in a couple of them, as those are really quick time formats. We don't even have to analyze them a lot if you guys want a quick showing. So do suggest that. If not, we are turning to other tournaments. We still have to finish Fabi Saga of the Sinquefield Cup 2014, and then we're gonna check out what else is happening in the chess world. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Brilliant stuff by Magnus, by Alireza as well, but Magnus was just the better player today. I would like to thank Frank W.H. Schaefer, Gautam Bhattacharya, Ren Songkwa, Joseph Treat, and GuernseyChessFestival.org.gg for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.